Well, hello there and welcome to Travels with Geordie. If this is your first visit, my name is Peter Knowles and I live on this classic wooden motor cruiser here in Victoria, British Columbia, along with the loving memory of my pup Geordie, all the while fixing it up for some pretty ambitious cruising. If that's the sort of thing you might find interesting, please consider sticking around and subscribing. I'd love to have you. Well, this week back up in the shed and working on Pome, and well, it's bashing and smashing. Yes, I'm gutting the entire wheelhouse and forecastle in preparation for lowering the sole. Anyway, you'll find all about that in the next few minutes. I do want to make special note of a fantastic YouTube channel called Ship Happens. Very clever word. Anyway, they've been restoring a World War II wooden boat in a slough, I think that's what you call it, basically in a muddy tidal river in England for 2 years now, and they've just had their 100th episode, and I've sent them along a little short clip of support along with quite a few other channels. Anyway, they're a great channel to watch. Ship Happens. Give them a look and give them some love, because it's a big project. Okay, let's jump back in time and get some work done. And well, welcome back to the shed for another week of gosh knows what. Yes, indeed. Although it was a lot of fun to clean up the foredeck of Pome, I really got to get going on the interior, largely because I want to be able to morph it into something that I can stay aboard in a little more comfortably than I am right now, as quickly as possible. I can do this sort of thing at any time because, of course, it's dry inside all winter. Anyway, to aid with all things getting on and off the boat and moving things and such like that, I'm going to turn it around. That way the transom will be here, which is the main way into the boat, and in the very near future I'm going to build a little extension to the deck across, what I mean by the deck, the platform in the shed here, to make it even easier. But anyway, in the meantime, let's just turn it around because it's currently not actually raining, and that is a rarity. Okay then, well that was pretty easy. The next step perhaps not quite so, and that is completely gutting the front part of the boat. That means the wheelhouse and the forecastle, the cabinetry, the whole sole, all the structure for the sole is coming out, battery boxes, all the wiring, everything forward of the aft cabin is leaving the boat except for the engine. And that includes the helm. And because of all that, it means the boat will be inoperable until at least most of that goes back together again. So it'll be here a little while. Now, of course, I will expedite getting the functional parts to get it operational again pretty quick, because no one likes a boat that is incapable of moving. I certainly don't, having had to live with that for a while. So yeah, I don't know how this will go at all. Let's just dive in. Well, okay, here we go. It's time to take all of this apart. And yes, of course, it's difficult because it's really cozy and cute right now, and it'll be a while before it's cozier and cuter. And in the meantime, it's going to be jagged and rugged, and anyway. So one of the main issues, of course, is the helm. Well, as most of you will know, the helm is not going to return to this location. It's going to come over here by the window. In fact, it's going to be right about here. The visibility is absolutely perfect, and I can see out the window, or at least I'm really nearby the window that I can work out the window. Now you might say, a helm that size is going to be awkward over here, and well, certainly that wheel is much bigger than I would like to have, and certainly don't need much more than that for Pome. So enter this little sweetheart. Can you see this beautiful little bronze wheel? I picked this up on eBay. I don't think I've bought anything off eBay in about 20 years, but I saw this and I just had to have it. So it will be right about here, and nice and compact, meaning that there'll be lots of room to be able to get by and access the rest of the space here. Most of which I have not fully developed, but I have some pretty good ideas which I'm going to share with you very, very soon. Anyway, this is absolutely delightful. I don't know if I'll use the built-in sprocket that's on it there, or whether I'll work it in another way, but the wheel itself will be the helm wheel for Poem. Really, really, really excited about that. If you know more about this sort of wheel, let me know down in the comments. I wondered if it was one of those wheels that's sideways in small open boats. Anyway, it may not be a marine wheel at all. I mean, but I suspect it is. Anyway, let's get to work. Okay, so let's dive into the main panel. Of course, this whole panel is dead now, so there's no risk of running into any trouble. What I'd like to do is just disconnect it from the rest of the boat and then take the panel away on its own. So that's going to be pretty straightforward. This is the breaker for the windlass. This is all new cable put in last year, and so I'm certainly going to make sure I arrange things in such a way that I can reuse all these cables in the pre-made lengths that they're already in. Now, just plain old load wires, they're just gonna get cut because they're just wires and we don't worry about it. But I can tell that some of these are bilge pump wires, so again, I'm gonna have to be able to reconnect these relatively promptly. Okay, we are completely disconnected. How is this attached? There we go. Okay, off. If you're wondering about this spaghetti here, this is an arrangement I use to be able to combine either the house or the start battery for either the house or the start load. Basically, you can switch either bank to either load, and I really like the way I set that up, and I do that the same on Geordie and on Zephyrus as well. Okay. All right, and the very, very short NMEA 2000 backbone. There's only one NMEA 2000 client on this boat, and that's the depth sounder. Combination depth sounder, speed, temperature. It's the same one I have on Geordie, and well, for that matter, also on Zephyrus. I don't know if in time I'll build a bigger NMEA 2000 network for any of these boats, but I'm very pleased with that particular sender. It's an, what is it? It's a, I forget what it is. I'll try to remember and put it down in the comments. All right, this next step is where it really does get a little savage. And for those of you who are triggered by this sort of thing, this might be a good time to go watch something else. There's going to be smashing. Yes, there is. Yes, 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 yes. Well, good morning. So today we're going to tackle this bulkhead. I'm a bit reticent to do it because it, partly at least, inside is semi-original, even though it's all patched up and it's a mess. It's got to come out anyway because it's all rotten around the edges. But it's kind of a cart before the horse. Is it the sole that comes out first, or the... At least now I can work on a relatively flat surface. Once I take the sole out, I'm crawling around in the bilge effectively. So I'm going to give this some thought and get to it. Switch to an expendable blade, safety glasses, and we're just going to cut this right down the middle. Okay, you can see why the expendable blade was important. You saw all the sparks. Okie dokie. Lovely. Yeah, it's all mishmash. An interesting selection of epoxy goop gone in through here and then fared off on the other side. It's interesting always to see the history of how these boats were put together over time. This is gonna have to go sooner or later, and I think it's about now. Have I ever showed you the engine? Well, there it is in all its glory. The Chevy 6 gas, marinized, of course, which is nice, and honestly, it runs just fine. It's gas, it's way too big, and it's way too big. In other words, there's more power than I need, and it's much larger than I would like it to be. But it's what I have, and it'll do for now. Yeah. Okay, so you can see here the ledger for the original sole beams, and that nailing ledger is just going to have to go down about 3 inches, and we can put it all back together again. Well, not the same stuff. Easy. All right then, well, I think at this point it's time I took you off the tripod to give you a good view of the carnage. There's a lot going on here. The trick now is to make sure I've disconnected everything from the floor structure. So I've taken this lovely Perco sea strainer off, and over on the other side, coolant overflow, electric fuel pump, disconnected the main battery. There's this rather elaborate welded aluminum bracket for the remote oil filter, which I'll have to remove. Yeah, there's still a lot going on here. I've had to temporarily disconnect the bilge pumps again, but we don't seem to be doing too badly. I think at this point it's just keep getting stuff out of here, and then we can see what's left that makes any sense. Okay, let's see what we can do here. And how about this beautiful big bronze set of shivs, eh? That will definitely be reused. Woohoo! Loose bitter end? Come on, who installed this? Oh, it was me, yeah. Okay. All right, well, this chain locker's coming out. right, I'm settled right in for some scrubbage here. Holy mackerel, this still isn't apart, but I'm gonna have to take some pretty serious action. I just want to get some of this out of here. Okay, yes. Oh, good morning. I'm back at it in here, and to tell you the truth, I'm having a ball. Doesn't look like it. The last hour or so has been pulling nails. There are hundreds and hundreds, possibly thousands of mild steel nails just hanging everywhere. So many that had been here actually from previous times. In fact, the boat had full interior sealing at some point. In other words, paneling against the inside of the frames, because all those nails were still there. So it's interesting as you dig through a boat like this or a house or anything like that. Anyway, it is so fantastic to be in the space when it's open like this, because I had a plan for what I was doing with the forecastle and the house, but yeah, that might change a little bit now. Wouldn't this be cool to be a little like a rotunda seating down here, just like sunken living room thing going on? I don't know. To be fair, the boat needs structure at this point at the bulkhead. I suppose I could put some beautiful big knees in, but that's not likely. Anyway, gonna carry on pulling nails for now, because it's so much fun. I just wanted to show you a couple of neat details I'm talking about. Look at all this beautiful old original wiring, or actually I can't even say it's original, but it's certainly very, very early and long since abandoned here, mingled in with NMEA 2000. How about that? Anyway, it's sort of tempting to leave it there as a tribute, as an archive, and I may actually do that because it's such a neat run of wires. And it's not in a place where they'll be in the way of anything I'm doing, so I think I'm going to leave them there. That's just so wild. Okay, then another really neat thing, this little cleat way up under here, gosh knows what that was ever originally for. There's another one on the other side in the same place, and it's just interesting to try to guess what it was. Was it because it's next to the window? Was it a cleat to run a fender out of or whatever? There's even a little bit of line on it still. Anyway, really, really, really neat. Down here are two beautiful bronze turning blocks that were used for the steering system. They're loose and they're seized. Hopefully there's not too much of a flat on this bottom one because it is seized. So it'll be interesting to see how round it is in behind. So they're going to come out and get cleaned up and reused, of course. The other thing, of course, is that they're about 3 inches too high because this is the ledger for the sole and it's going down 3 inches down here. Well, here, I guess. Anyway, so they'll have to move down, and anyway, all good things. And here they are, aren't they just sweeties? Sadly, the backside of the one that was seized has quite a deep flat cut into it by the cable rubbing against it. It doesn't mean it can't be reused and saved, but anyway, they're just beautiful. Just beautiful. These have got to be the sweetest battery box trays I have ever seen. And they were fabricated in marine ply and sapele with the edges all rounded over and glued joints. I can't believe it. These were made by my good friend, the shipwright Scott. And the only reason I'm taking them out, well, I want to clean underneath them, but they have to go down a little bit. Maybe not a lot, but a little, because of course I'm dropping the sole. And I can see he screwed them basically to the engine beds. So I'm kind of hoping I can shave something off the bottom of the way these are made. Scott, if you're watching, you're nodding your head going, no, Peter, not gonna happen. Let's see what the bottoms of these look like, because it looks like this is a little higher than it has to be. Oh, 4 screws. Galvanized screws are essential this low in the boat on a boat that was originally fastened with galvanized nails. So you have to make sure you don't mix metals. I know you've heard me talk about this over and over again. The only problem with galvanized screws is, boy, do they bite after they've been in for a while. I've had absolutely no bilge pumps running for about 24 hours in here, and there's about ½ an inch of wire in the bilge. Not bad at all for an old wooden boat. Okay, now we can see how these are made. Perhaps. Excellent. So he built a sub mount for them, which is quite exotic, but it does mean I have at least 1.25 inches or so of extra depth I can go with these mounts, which would be fantastic. It means I'll have to move inboards because, as you can see, he set them up here. They're already hard against
the frames, so they're gonna have to come inboard, and I can't come too far because I have to be able to still operate the seacocks. So before I get too carried away, I'm gonna put this back in for a second. I'm gonna place the battery box back in with its lid and measure what we're working with now. So here I have a simulated sole board, and you can see it just fit underneath the existing sole. So I don't think I'm going to get 3 inches. I just don't. Oh no, what am I saying? This fits under the structure of the sole. Whew. That was close. Now wait a second. As a result, as long as my structure came down this side. Okay, so here is one of the old sole beams. 2 and 3/8, 2 1/4 nominal. So I do need to come down a bit. Does that mean I compromise and only go down? Anyway, it's information. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. Okay, so here's a more brute force way of looking at the same situation. I am standing on a piece of 3/4 inch plywood on top of the battery box in its normal location. So if I was to optimize the sole so that the structure was beside the battery box and the new sole just kissed the top of the battery box, I would be standing here. And to tell you the truth, this is a lot better, but it's not quite as low as I was hoping. And I'll tell you why. It's the looking forward. It's one thing that your head fits underneath the top of the boat, but it's another thing if you can look forward and see the horizon, which standing here now, I wouldn't be able to. I'm about 3/8 to 1/2 inch higher than the top of the window. So I'd be crouching to see the horizon or any sky at all. So I'm hoping to go down at least another 3/4 inch to 1 inch. Let's have a look at that, what involved. Okay then. I'm pretty sure it will be a no-brainer to get this down 3/4 inch or more. Of course, lowering the sole has more implications than simply the battery boxes, but not much else. The engine, of course, well, is a bit of an unknown, but it's staying here for the at least indeterminate future, and all it means is that the battery box, the engine box, gets taller. You still have to walk around it. More on that in a bit. What else goes in the bilge of this boat? The tanks are all aft. Another start battery, some storage. If the boat went to diesel, there'd be saddle tanks, very much like I put in Geordie, but the tanks would still be 14 inches tall and fairly wide and long, so they'd be easily 50 gallons each, which would be way more than this boat would ever need. So I'm not at all concerned about this sole lowering, except no one wants to lower their sole. But flat head slotted screws, you really only get one chance. So you gotta make it count. Brain power. Okay. So how is this a back? This is already a base. Or is it? Oh no, it's not. No. Okay, so let's imagine I left this much of it and we move it outboard to just line up with the engine bed. Yes, yes. And then we reintroduce the battery box, which will now sit too high on the inboard end. Actually, because it's come down, it's also still sitting very, very nicely. I can still easily operate the seacock, and wow, that looks like it's very promising. Without screwing it down, I'm going to risk putting the battery box back on, my little mock sole back on, and up I go. Oh yeah, that would do it. That would do it. That's all I need right there. Haha. Oh, would you guys like to see? Yes, indeed. I now am at least 1/2 inch, even though I only took out 3/4 inch, but I feel I can see the horizon. That's all that matters. I think for now this will do, and I actually just fit under the beams. It'll be better further aft, excuse the light, where I'll actually be at the helm because the cabin rises up some more. So until I change my mind, this is where the sole's going to be. Well, hello there and welcome to the Travels with Geordie Beer of the Week, or more accurately this week, the hot buttered cognac of the week. And that is because I am feeling slightly under the weather this week, and Lady Zephyrus has very kindly offered me a hot buttered cognac, which she's just prepared for me, which includes, of course, cognac, allspice, cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, and of course, butter. So this will be a lovely treat, and somehow a beer didn't feel quite right. Well, let's have a go. Oh my gosh, that is Christmas in a glass. That is just gorgeous. And last week's winner of a Travels with Geordie t-shirt is Down Under Projects. So, Mr. Down, get a hold of me and we'll make sure you get your Travels with Geordie t-shirt. Cheers. Wow, what a week it's been, ripping apart. I'm really committed now, aren't I? Pulling home apart. I'm so happy with the way it went, and I'm really looking forward to starting to put some stuff back together. And it's going to go a lot better than I thought. The boat is in fabulous shape. I haven't found a broken frame yet. I mean, it's just a real joy. And so we can jump straight to the word of the week, which this week will be committed. Being so committed to the boat, having ripped it all apart. But of course, there's all kinds of other things you may choose to do with committed, as in should be, etc. I'm committed to this, I'll tell you. Let's just move on, because I'm going straight back to bed. Oh God, I can't even think straight. I can't say that.